Why is it that most people know exactly what they need to do to change their lives, but simply can't do it? Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many times have you set a goal, felt that initial motivation, and then simply stopped? 3 days, a week, maybe a month if you were lucky. And this doesn't happen because of a lack of knowledge. You know you need to wake up early. You know you need to exercise. You know you need to study, work harder, focus. You know all of that. But you don't do it. Why? Because modern society has turned you into someone who seeks the easy way out. Everything around you is designed to give you instant gratification. Want food? Click on the app. Want entertainment? Netflix? Want validation? Instagram? Want dopamine? TikTok. Everything is immediate. Everything is easy. Everything is comfortable. And while you live in this bubble of comfort, something terrible is happening. You are getting weak. Mentally weak, emotionally weak, spiritually weak. But more than 400 years ago, there was a man who understood something profound about human nature. A man who never lost a single battle in his life. 61 duels, 61 victories. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. And he didn't win because he was stronger. He won because he built something that most modern people don't even know exists, an unwavering system of discipline. Musashi knew that the most important battle doesn't happen on the battlefield. It happens within your mind, between what you want to do and what you need to do, between comfort and growth, between pleasure and purpose. And he created a set of principles, samurai disciplines, that transformed ordinary men into warriors who could not be broken by any circumstance. Pain, fear, fatigue, defeat. Nothing shook them. Because they had been forged in hardship. Musashi wrote 2 books throughout his life, the Book of 5 Rings and Dokudo. And in that book, he left a phrase that should be engraved in the mind of every modern man. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Do you know what that means? It means that your ego, your emotions, your fears, your desires for comfort, all of that is noise. And while you listen to that noise, you can't see reality. You can't act clearly. You get stuck in an endless cycle of intention without execution. Today I'm going to tell you the story of a young man named Jack. 25 years old. He worked as a waiter, overweight, aimless, trapped in a life he hated, but without the strength to change. Until a mysterious man appeared and shared with him the samurai disciplines that Musashi lived, and these subjects completely transformed Jack's life. This isn't some cheap motivational story that just says, believe in yourself or you can do it. It's about a system of discipline that, when applied, makes you incredibly consistent. Throughout this video, you'll see exactly how this system can be applied, how this system can transform a weak man into a warrior, and how it can do the same for you. This system was created to make you strong. And strength doesn't come from comfort. Strength comes from pressure, from difficulty, from doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to. Modern society can't handle this. That's why 99% of people fail in the first 3 days of any change. They fail because they wait to feel like it. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect moment. But the warrior doesn't wait. The warrior acts. Before we begin, if you truly want to master your mind and build an extraordinary life, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Leave a like below because it helps more people find this content. I also invite you to leave a comment about your experience with discipline and the systems we've already presented here on the channel. Are you able to apply them, or are you still having difficulties? Comment below and try to help those who are also having difficulties. Now, let's go to the video. Chapter 1. The Lost Waiter. Jack was 25 years old, and if you looked at him, you'd see an ordinary guy. Nothing special. He worked as a waiter in an Italian restaurant in downtown Seattle. He woke up late, went to work, came home, played video games until 2 a.m., slept, and repeated. But inside, Jack was at war with himself. When he was younger, his parents always talked about the importance of studying, dedicating himself, focusing on personal development and career. But Jack never paid much attention to that. In his teens, what he wanted was to enjoy life, hang out with friends, play video games, watch YouTube videos, go out with girls, go to parties, use drugs, drink alcohol. He was good at it, really good. He was the guy everyone asked out, the funny guy, the guy who was always available for any kind of outing. But when he graduated high school, something began to change. Not overnight. It was gradual. He started to notice that his friends were moving on. One went to college, another got a job at a tech company, another started his own business. And Jack? Jack was serving plates of pasta. He wanted to change, he really did. He looked in the mirror and saw that he was overweight. He knew he needed to take care of his body. He knew he needed to leave that restaurant and work for a renowned company or start his own business. He knew he needed to study, develop himself, grow. But he couldn't. He would tell himself, I'll start training tomorrow. But tomorrow would come and he was too tired. He would say, I'll start studying programming on the weekend. But the weekend would come and he would spend the whole day playing video games. He said he didn't have time because of work, because of chores. But deep down he knew the truth. The problem wasn't a lack of time, it was a lack of discipline and a lack of purpose. Jack was living on autopilot, and he hated it. Until one night everything changed. It was a Tuesday, a normal day. The restaurant was almost empty. Jack was cleaning a table when the door opened, and a man entered. This man was around 35 years old. He was very well dressed, an impeccable grey suit, a watch that probably cost more than Jack earned in a year. But he wasn't arrogant. He had a calm presence, confident, as if nothing in the world could shake him. He sat down at a table in the corner. Jack went to serve him. "Good evening, sir. What would you like?" The man glanced quickly at the menu. "Just a coffee, black, no sugar." Jack wrote it down and went to get it. When he returned with the coffee, he couldn't help himself. That's just how he was, curious, talkative. "First time here?" The man smiled slightly. "Yes, I'm just passing through Seattle, business meeting." "Cool. What do you do for a living?" "Technology. I own a software company." Jack felt a pang of envy, but also of admiration. Wow, that must be an interesting life. "It has its challenges, but yes, I enjoy what I do." There was a pause. Jack should have gone back to the counter, but something held him there. "Can I ask you a somewhat random question?" The man raised an eyebrow. "Of course." "How did you get to where you are?" The man looked at Jack intently, as if assessing whether he truly wanted to know or if it was just idle chatter. "Discipline." Jack laughed involuntarily. "Seriously, that's all? It's not just discipline, it's everything. Most people think success comes from talent, luck, connections, and yes, those things help. But without discipline, none of that matters. Discipline and consistency are what separate those who dream from those who achieve." Jack felt those words pierce something inside him. "You seem like someone who has dreams," the man continued, "but who isn't fulfilling them." Jack remained silent. How did this guy know? "My name is Naoki." The man extended his hand. "Jack." He shook Naoki's hand. "Jack, do you want to know what I learned that completely changed my life? Try." "I learned a system of discipline that uses concepts that have existed for over 400 years, a system that transforms weak men into unwavering warriors, and I used this system to build everything I have today." Chapter 2: The Samurai System. Naoki took a sip of his coffee. "Have you ever heard of Miyamoto Musashi?" Jack shook his head. "Musashi was the greatest swordsman who ever lived. He never lost a fight. 61 duels, 61 victories. But it wasn't because of natural talent. It was because he created a system of discipline so strong that nothing could break it. Not pain, not fear, not fatigue. He lived by principles. And those principles are what most people lack today." Jack was completely absorbed. "Let me explain something to you, Jack. Modern society hates discipline. Everything today is about ease. Want food? Order it on an app. Want entertainment? Netflix. Want validation? Instagram. Everything is immediate. Everything is easy. And because of that, people are getting weaker and weaker. People can't do anything difficult. They can't wait. They can't face discomfort." Naoki leaned forward. But the samurai knew one truth. Strength doesn't come from what is easy. Strength comes from what is difficult, and discipline is the ability to do what is difficult, even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Jack swallowed hard. There are some fundamental types of discipline that the samurai followed, and if you apply that to your life, you will become unstoppable. Not in a day, not in a week, but over time, you will transform into someone completely different. What kind of discipline is that? Jack asked. Naoki smiled. First discipline. Get up without negotiation. Every day when the alarm rings, you get up, without thinking, without debating with yourself, without checking if you're tired, you just get up, because the first battle of the day happens the moment you wake up. And if you lose that battle, you've already started the day defeated. Jack felt a tightness in his chest. How many times had he pressed the snooze button? Second discipline. Move without emotion. You don't need to feel motivated to act. You act independently of what you are feeling. Anger, fear, laziness, sadness. You feel these emotions, but you don't obey them. You act because you must, not because you want to. Third discipline, train when you don't want to. Anyone can do things when they're inspired, but a warrior trains in the rain, trains through pain, trains when exhausted, because that's what forges real strength. Naoki paused. Fourth discipline, eliminate the unnecessary. The more things you have, the more distracted you become. The samurai carried almost nothing. A sword, simple clothes, rice, nothing more. Because they knew that possessions are weight, and weight makes you slow. Fifth discipline, sit with the pain. Don't run from discomfort, don't get distracted. When something hurts physically or emotionally, you sit with it. You observe, you accept, because whoever runs from pain is controlled by pain. Sixth discipline, protect your focus like a fortress. Your attention is the most valuable resource you have, and modern society is constantly trying to steal your attention. Social media, notifications, videos. If you don't protect your focus, you'll never build anything meaningful. Seventh discipline, live without needing approval. You don't train to impress anyone. You train because it's the path. You don't seek external validation. You seek internal excellence. Naoki leaned back. And the last thing I'm going to tell you now, stay the course no matter what. When everything is screaming at you to give up, you stay. When the odds are against you, you stay. Because what you do when it costs you the most is what reveals who you really are. Jack was speechless. These disciplines seem simple, but most people can't follow even one of them for 3 days. Why? Because they weren't forged in difficulty. They were created in ease, and ease doesn't create warriors. Chapter 3. The Proposal. Naoki finished his coffee. Jack, can I make you an offer? Jack blinked. What kind of proposal? Do you want to work at my company? Jack's heart raced. Seriously? Yes, but there's a condition. Which? You need to prove to me that you're willing to change, because I don't hire people who just talk. I hire people who do. What do I need to do? Naoki looked intently at Jack. You're overweight, right? Jack felt ashamed, but nodded. Lose 8 kilos in 2 months. Prove to me that you can apply these disciplines to your life, and when you do, I'll give you a job. Jack remained silent. 8 kilos in 2 months. It seemed impossible. I know what you're thinking, Naoki said. You're thinking it's difficult, and it is, but you can do it, and I'm going to help you. Naoki took out a business card and wrote something on the back. Here's my email. I'll send you articles, videos, and lessons about the samurai disciplines I mentioned, and you can message me whenever you need to. I'll be available to guide you. But you're the one who's going to do the work. Jack picked up the card, his hands trembling. Why are you doing this for me? Naoki smiled. Because I used to be you, Jack. 10 years ago I was lost, directionless, disciplined, until someone showed me this path and changed everything. Now, it's my turn to pass it on. Naoki stood up, left a $50 bill on the table and walked toward the door. Before leaving, he looked back. The choice is yours, Jack. You can continue being who you are, or you can become who you were born to be. Email me when you decide." And he left. Jack stood there, motionless, holding the card. That was the night that changed everything. Chapter 4. The challenge begins. That same night when Jack got home, he didn't turn on the video game. He didn't open YouTube. He sat on the bed, picked up his cell phone, and sent an email to Naoki. "I accept. I'll prove to you that I can do it." The next day, Naoki replied with an attached document. It was a complete guide. Articles on samurai disciplines, videos, a meal plan, a training plan, everything organized, and at the end of the document, a sentence. "Don't negotiate with yourself, just begin." Jack started. On the first day, he set his alarm for 5 a.m. When it rang, every fiber of his being screamed at him to hit the snooze button. But he remembered, get up without negotiation. He got up. He put on his sneakers. He went out for a run. He didn't want to. It was cold, it was dark, but he remembered, move without emotion. He ran. In the first few days, it was awful. Everything hurt. He was hungry all the time because of the diet. He wanted to give up every minute. But whenever he thought about giving up, he remembered Naoki's phrase, "Train when you don't want to." He trained. A week passed. 2 weeks. A month. Jack began to notice changes, not just in his body, but in his mind. He was more focused, calmer, and more present. He started eliminating distractions. He deleted social media from his phone, stopped playing video games late into the night, and began reading books about programming, the field he wanted to work in at Naoki's company. Whenever he felt pain, physical or emotional, he would sit with the pain. He didn't run away, he simply observed. And he realized that the pain wasn't the enemy. It was the teacher. He guarded his focus like a fortress. In the morning, he studied. In the afternoon, he worked. At night, he trained, no distractions, no interruptions, and he stopped seeking approval. He didn't post progress photos. He didn't tell anyone what he was doing, because it wasn't about others. It was about him. 2 months later, Jack stepped on the scale. 10 kilos less. He hadn't just lost 8 kilos, he'd lost 10. He sent a photo to Naoki. The answer came in 5 minutes. "Congratulations, warrior, you're hired. Monday, 9 a.m., my office." Chapter 5. The Unwavering Warrior. Jack joined Naoki's company as a junior assistant, the lowest possible position. But he didn't mind, because he knew it wasn't about the position. It was about the journey. He applied the same discipline at work. He arrived before everyone else. He left after everyone else. When faced with a difficult task, he didn't complain. He simply did it. When he felt demotivated, he worked anyway, because emotion no longer controlled him. 6 months later, he was promoted. A year later, he was promoted again. People around started asking, "How do you manage to be so consistent?" And Jack smiled, because the answer was simple: samurai discipline. 3 years later, Jack was in a much higher position. 5 years later, director. 10 years later, Naoki called Jack into his office. "Jack, I want to make you a partner in the company." Jack was speechless. "You deserve it. You've proven every day for 10 years that you're a warrior, and warriors deserve rewards." Jack looked at Naoki with gratitude. "All of this was because of that day at the restaurant." Naoki shook his head. "No, Jack. All of this was because of you. I only showed you the way. You were the one who walked it." Miyamoto Musashi wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." He knew that ego is noise, and noise obscures clarity. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And that's exactly it. Most people live on autopilot, thinking they're in control, but they're being controlled by habits, emotions, impulses. The discipline of the samurai is the antidote. This discipline takes you off autopilot and puts you in command. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, said, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Jack didn't change because he set a goal. He changed because he created a system based on daily discipline. And that system transformed him. Now, don't think that change is easy. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process of deconstruction followed by reconstruction. You need to deconstruct your habits and build new ones, consistently. Remember the concepts I've taught countless times on this channel. Remember Kaizen, start slowly, unless you're in dire straits and need to change urgently. If that's not your case, start small, but improve every day. Remember, consistency beats intensity. It's no use wanting to change your life, doing everything differently for 3 days, but then reverting to bad habits on the 4th day. Be consistent, and if you fall 7 times, get up the 8th time. But as I said at the beginning of today's video, the samurai discipline I'm presenting here wasn't created to make you happy in the modern sense. It was created to make you strong. And there is a huge difference between those two things. Modern society is obsessed with synthetic happiness. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone seeks pleasure, comfort, ease. But the samurai knew something we've forgotten. Happiness is a fleeting emotion. Strength is permanent. You may not be happy every day, but you can be strong every day. And when you are strong, you can handle anything life throws at you. You don't break. You don't fall apart. You remain. And in the end, this strength brings you something far greater than happiness. It brings you peace. Jack was no special. He had no advantages, he had no connections, he had no money. But he had something most people don't, the willingness to do what is difficult. And that changed everything. The discipline system I showed you today isn't theory. It's a practical system. And something practical only works if you actually practice it. So let me ask you a question. Are you going to be just another person who watches a video like this, finds it interesting and does nothing about it? Or are you going to be like Jack? Someone who actually applies what they see and transforms their life. Let's quickly recap what we've discussed. 1. Stand up without negotiation. When the alarm goes off, you get up. No internal debate. 2. Move without emotion. You act regardless of how you're feeling. 3. Train when you don't want to. The training you do when you don't want to is what shapes you. 4. Eliminate the unnecessary. Fewer possessions, more focus. 5. Sit with the pain. Don't run away from discomfort. Learn from it. 6. Protect your focus like a fortress. Your attention is your most valuable asset. 7. Live without needing approval. You don't train to impress. You train because it's the way. 8. Stay the course no matter what. When everything screams at you to give up, you persevere. These are the principles that separated Jack, a lost waiter, from Jack, a successful businessman. And they can do the same for you, but only if you apply it. Start today, because the warrior's path waits for no one. If this video impacted you, subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments, which of these points presented in this video will you start applying today? And if you enjoyed this video, I invite you to watch one of the ones appearing on your screen. You're sure to learn something valuable from it. See you in the next video.